What is up, everybody? It is me, TGM, the Gamer Musician, back again with another video on RMFH's channel. Today, we'll be delving into the amazing world of Pokemon. As stated in a previous update video, RMFH and I intend on covering content based on other game series that we like, and hopefully game series that you guys all like too. You know, stuff like Kingdom Hearts, other Nintendo games, and of course, Pokemon. So, as I'm certain that you're all aware, Pokefever is in the air, as Nintendo has just confirmed 3 sets of games. Pokemon Quest is out already, and is a load of fun. There's going to be a core Pokemon game coming to Switch next year, in the style of the 3DS games, and also there is a pair of games coming out this year in November, which will be called Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and they'll be set in the Kanto region, and connect with Pokemon Go on your mobile. Oh, and there's also a cool controller that seems kind of pointless, but everyone's definitely going to buy anyway. The Let's Go Duo and Pokemon Quest are set to feature only the original 151 Pokemon, and nothing else. Well, I guess except the secret Pokemon from Let's Go. Anyway though, due to that, plus the fact that we're returning to Kanto, this is as good a time as any to mention my top 5 Pokemon from Generation 1. Now, while my bias may be slightly influenced by strength, stats are definitely not the focus of this list. More just like what I like more and all that fun stuff. Oh, and to keep the list a bit more interesting, no, like, legendaries or starter lines or whatnot. They're just kind of too easy. Anyway though, now that I've got that all sorted, let's get started on the video. Now, this shouldn't be a shock to anyone. Any truly reputable and objectively correct Pokemon list needs to feature at least one of the members of the Omanite evolutionary line. Not including one would be like making a list of top animated movies and not including Shrek. Due to the deification of the Helix fossil, and by extension the entire Helix line, Omastar has skyrocketed in popularity since the Twitch Plays Pokemon streams of 2014. But even beyond that, Omastar has always been a really cool Pokemon. Omastar is one of the few Pokemon in these games that you get an active choice between, along with like the evolutions and the starters. However, unlike the others, for a first-time player, they might not even realize what these fossils would do. They may have thought it was perhaps an item to be used later in the game or something like that. That was basically what happened with me. I didn't realize I was picking between a Pokemon from later in the game. You see, the moment that a player discovers the ability to revive a fossil is something so cool. Of course, there are probably a load of people who picked the sacrilege that is the Dome fossil and ended up with a Genesect Kabutops. But for me, Omastar is the only one true fossil Pokemon from Generation 1. And because of all that, Omastar's divine powers make it the only Pokemon worthy of resurrecting the number 5 spot. Now, Porygon and its evolutions have always been a really interesting evolutionary line, having one of the most unique pairs of moves in the game. Conversion and Conversion 2 are both moves that bestow a positive status effect onto Porygon, modifying his type. Conversion changes its type to match the last move that hit him, while Conversion 2 modifies his type so that the prior move is either not very effective or even completely immune. It was also really cool to me in my first playthrough, when I realized eventually that the only way to get a Porygon in Kanto was to win one from the game corner, essentially winning it from Team Rocket themselves. Of course, with the way that game corners are going nowadays, especially in RS, I'm not really sure how this will go in this new Kanto remake of Let's Go. Of course, I would be remiss to mention Porygon without referencing the catastrophic event from episode 38 of the anime, where Pikachu's electric attack collided with a bunch of missiles launched by Porygon. This caused a large flashing strobe effect on the screen, which gave over 700 Japanese children negative side effects, namely epileptic seizures, and this also awarded Pokemon with the Guinness World Record for most photosensitive epileptic seizures caused by a television show. Since then, Porygon and his entire evolutionary line have only really appeared as minor cameos in the show. While not a good event by any means, it really does add a whole new real-world element to Porygon, and combined with his interesting moveset, Porygon uses the dubious disc and upgrades his way into the number 4 slot. Scyther is just plain out cool. Does this really need to be stated too much? As a dual-type bug flying Pokemon, Scyther is a truly awesome Pokemon, moving faster than the human eye can even track, using its ninja-like scythes. Now, you may be asking, but TGM, why do you even think it looks like a ninja? But TGM, Scyther's base speed is only 105, that's slower than even Electrode. Well, you see, most of these stats, despite not necessarily being in his exact stats, are all throughout the Pokédex entries. For example, Scyther's connection to everyone's favorite Fortnite streamer is even referenced in the Generation 7 dex, saying that
it confuses its prey with quick, ninja-like movements,
and that
some call it a ninja.
Scyther really is just a well-designed Pokemon. The dual scythe design really emphasizes the bug-like survival of the fittest design of the creature, and that was why Scyther was able to tear and shred its way into the number 3 slot with its wickedly sharp scythes. Now, every budding trainer will start their journey with their starter, and then they'll soon leave out to the starting town and catch their first couple of Pokemon. And in Generation 1, this is usually either Rattata or Pidgey. Personally, I usually leave this Pidgey in my party for the entire game for all kinds of reasons. One of the biggest is getting that final stage of the evolutionary line, Pidgeot. As a flying Pokemon, Pidgeot is able to learn Fly, which, at least until they added the Eon Flute thing in Oris, was undeniably the best way to get around a Pokemon region. Plus, for me, Pidgeot has a lot of that sentimental value. In my first ever playthrough of a Pokemon game, I ended up leaving Pidgeot in my party even past the Elite Four, so Pidgeot was, at least in my gaming history, one of the first 6 Pokemon to ever join the Hall of Fame. And that's basically why Pidgeot is able to take to the skies and soar into the number 2 spot. Now, before I get to the number 1 slot, a couple of honorable mentions. You know, the ones who probably would have been here if it was a top 10 list or something. Starmie, Kangaskhan, Snorlax, Hitmonlee, and Marowak. Okay, on to number 1. Now, I know what you're saying. How does Golduck, of all Pokemon, win over creatures like Scyther or Lord Helix? Well, it's pretty simple. He's my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. Duh. Regardless though, Golduck is a really great Pokemon. As a young Psyduck, this creature is subjected to all manner of insane headaches, some so fierce that they even cause him to cry. However, after an insane amount of training, Psyduck is finally able to not only quell these headaches, but control them, and, at least to my knowledge, shove him in a gemstone in his forehead, turn into Vision, become an Avenger, and then join the Crystal Gems. Ignoring his roles in recent blockbusters and TV shows though, there's really a whole lot to Golduck. For example, Golduck is the fastest swimmer out of all Pokemon, as explicitly stated in the Sapphire Dex. This means it beats out Pokemon like Lapras, Sharpedo, and Poliwrath. Something else you might not know is that Golduck is one of only 6 Pokemon in the entire series to have been in every single region so far, with the rest being the Magnemite line, the Zubat line, and of course, Psyduck. Another really cool thing about Golduck is his name. I know a lot of people have mentioned that maybe Psyduck and Golduck had their names swapped at some point, but that's more than likely false. Of course, Psyduck isn't even called Psyduck in Japan, but more importantly, the color gold has a load of symbolism in Japan. One of the biggest symbolic meanings of the color gold is that of psychic powers. So naming this creature Golduck is basically saying gold duck, or basically psychic duck. All of these amazing things, combined with the fact that he's just my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, is the reason why Golduck swims straight into the number 1 Kanto Pokemon position. And hey, thanks for watching the video, you've reached the end. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'd love for you to sound off in the comments down below with your personal top 5 or even top 10 if you want. And while you're here, remember to give this channel and my own personal one a sub so you can watch more interesting news, theories, and top 5s just like this one. We'll definitely be following all of these new Pokemon games, so I hope you stick around for them. Thanks again, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the day, and until next time, this is TGM signing out.